Picture a man, bold and ruthless, sailing the high seas, a skull and crossbones flag fluttering in the wind. Yes, you're right. We're talking about pirates, the real outlaws of the sea. Pirates have been etched into our imaginations through stories and legends, their audacious exploits romanticized in literature and film. From Peter Pan's arch-nemesis, the cunning Captain Hook, to the lovable rogue Captain Jack Sparrow, these characters have shaped our perception of pirates as adventurous and rebellious. But these are not the only pirates of lore. The infamous Blackbeard, with his commanding presence and fearsome reputation, once ruled the Atlantic, leaving a trail of shipwrecked vessels in his wake. His reign of terror on the high seas is still spoken of today, an enduring legend that has transcended centuries. But how much of these tales are true? Were pirates the swashbuckling adventurers we imagine, or is there more to their story? The history of piracy is as old as seafaring itself, dating back thousands of years. Imagine this. The sun blazes overhead as a swift, ominous ship cuts through the clear, azure waters of the Mediterranean. This isn't a peaceful trading vessel, but a ship of ancient sea robbers, the first pirates known to man. These early pirates hailed from various regions, from the notorious Illyrians to the formidable Cilicians. They were a constant menace to the ancient world, disrupting trade and causing havoc. But they were not mere marauders. They were organized and strategic, using their knowledge of the sea to their advantage. These ancient pirates set the stage for what was to come, establishing the very foundations of piracy. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, a time of knights, castles, and yes, pirates. But these weren't your typical pirates. Enter the fierce Viking raiders. These seafaring Norsemen, with their iconic longboats and fearsome reputation, were a force to be reckoned with. They raided and pillaged along the coasts of Europe, instilling fear and leaving their mark on history. But Viking raiders weren't just about looting and terror. They were explorers, traders, and settlers who navigated the treacherous North Sea and the Baltic, venturing as far as North America long before Columbus. Their tactics, bold and ruthless, added a new chapter to the annals of piracy. These early pirates, both the ancient sea robbers and the Viking raiders, shaped the perception of piracy. They laid the groundwork for the pirates we imagine today, fearless, daring, and ruthless. They proved that the sea was not just a means of trade and exploration, but also a battleground where power, wealth, and freedom could be seized by those daring enough to take it. As we move into the era of exploration, piracy takes on a new face, one that's more familiar to us. But that's a tale for another day. For now, let's appreciate the rich and tumultuous history of these early sea marauders, the pioneers of piracy. Welcome to the golden age of piracy, a period from the 1650s to the 1730s when pirates truly ruled the waves. This was a time of swashbuckling rogues, fearless women, and legendary captains, a time when the skull and crossbones flew proudly over the open seas. Among these infamous mariners was Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. With his fearsome appearance, complete with a thick black beard and slow-match fuses smoldering in his hat, he struck terror into the hearts of sailors from the Caribbean to the American colonies. Yet despite his fearsome reputation, there are no recorded instances of him killing anyone before his final battle. Then there was Anne Bonny, a fiery redhead with a temper to match. She defied the societal norms of her time, taking to the sea and proving that piracy wasn't just a man's game. Alongside her partner, Calico Jack, she raided ships across the Caribbean, becoming one of the most feared women on the high seas. Another legendary figure was Captain William Kidd, a man whose name has become synonymous with buried treasure. Originally commissioned as a privateer, Kidd's fortunes changed when he was accused of turning pirate. The hunt for his elusive treasure has fascinated treasure hunters for centuries. But life as a pirate wasn't all daring raids and buried treasure. It was a harsh existence, governed by the Pirate Code, a set of rules agreed upon by the crew. These codes dictated everything from division of loot to punishment for crimes. Tactics were brutal, often involving intimidation and violence. The romanticized view of pirates often glosses over these harsh realities, but they were a fundamental part of life on a pirate ship. The golden age of piracy was a time of legends, a time when the seas were ruled by those willing to defy the laws of land and sea. But as with all good things, it had to come to an end. The winds of change were blowing and the age of the pirate was drawing to a close. With the strengthening of naval forces and international law, the age of classical piracy drew to a close. But the story doesn't end there. Let's set sail on a journey through the late 18th and early 19th centuries. This was a period of change, a period where the law of the sea began to take on a new form. Nations around the world started to bolster their naval forces, creating a formidable defense against the buccaneers that once roamed the seas with impunity. Pirates found it increasingly difficult to evade capture and punishment, leading to the decline of the classical era of piracy. But what were the specifics behind this decline? Well, the reasons were manifold. For starters, the end of the War of Spanish Succession in the early 18th century meant that many privateers, previously sanctioned by governments to harass enemy shipping, found themselves out of work and turned to piracy. However, as naval forces strengthened, these newly minted pirates found themselves facing a harsher, more regulated maritime environment. Moreover, international law began to play a significant role. The 1856 Declaration of Paris stated that privateering was and is outlawed, and that a neutral flag covers enemies' goods except contraband of war. This was a critical step in the fight against piracy, as it eliminated the legal gray area that many pirates exploited. And yet, despite the decline of classical piracy, the 21st century has seen a resurgence of these maritime marauders. Modern pirates, particularly off the Somali coast, have become a serious international concern. Armed with automatic weapons and propelled by speedboats, they've preyed upon commercial vessels, leading to a renewed focus on maritime security. These modern pirates operate in a world vastly different from their historical counterparts, but their underlying motivation remains the same: the pursuit of wealth through unlawful means. The methods have changed, the locations have shifted, but the essence of piracy endures. Piracy, it seems, is a tale that never truly ends. So, how much of what we know about pirates is fact and how much is fiction? Let's recap. Pirates weren't all parrot-toting, treasure-hunting, one-eyed miscreants. They were people from all walks of life, driven by various motivations. Yes, they did plunder, but they also had complex social structures and codes of conduct. Some myths persist, but the reality of pirate history is far more nuanced and fascinating than the stereotypes. Pirates have captured our imaginations for centuries, and it seems they will continue to do so for many more to come. Until next time, keep exploring the tales of history,